who is a guru? So a guru means, actually technically a guru means one who teaches, is called a guru. So in order to teach, one must have knowledge, and unless he has knowledge, how can he teach? So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has asked Sanatana Goswami to write in his book the characteristic of a bona fide guru and a bona fide disciple. So before accepting a spiritual master, one can be assured of spiritual master's position. Similarly, the spiritual master also can also be assured of the disciple position. Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna should be described as the worshipable object, and he should describe the Bija mantra of the worship of Krishna as well as that of Rama, and further expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we like to draw your attention to the qualification of a guru. What does the guru means? Of course, here we are talking of a guru who is a spiritual person, accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and working to represent him, to uphold Krishna's teaching, to realize them, and to teach this to the others. So if someone want to volunteer to read this.
Yes, Prabhuji. Vijita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna.
In the Padma Purana, the characteristics of the Guru, the bona fide spiritual master, have been described. The Guru must be situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. There are 3 classes of devotees, and the Guru must be accepted from the topmost class. The first class devotee is the spiritual master for all kinds of people. It is said Guru
Nirnam.
Narnam. The word Narnam means of all human beings. The Guru is not limited to a particular group. It is stated in the Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami that a Guru is a Goswami, a controller of the senses and the mind. Such a Guru can accept disciples from all over the world. This is the test of Guru.
So you can see here, the Guru is not limited to a particular group. The Guru Nirnam means he is for everybody. It's not that he only does it for certain class of people. No. And in the Upadesh Amrita of Rupa Goswami, the Guru is a Goswami. What does the Goswami mean? He is a controller of the senses and the mind. See? So this means that the Guru must be not some cheap personality. He must be a very high personality who controls his senses and his mind. Not that he just teaches like an ordinary teacher, which doesn't, then he's smoking and breaking all principles. Then no, such a person is not a Guru. Can you read on?
Yes, Prabhu. In India, there are many so-called gurus and they are limited to a certain district or a province. They do not even travel about India, yet they declare themselves to be Jagat Guru, the Guru of the whole world. Such cheating gurus should not be accepted. Anyone can see how the bona fide spiritual master accepts disciples from all over the world. The Guru is a qualified Brahmana, therefore he knows Brahman and Parabrahman. He thus devotes his life for the service of Parabrahman. The bona fide spiritual master who accepts disciples from all over the world is also worshipped all over the world because of his qualities. The people of the world worship him just as they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these honors are offered to him because he strictly follows the Brahmanical principles and teaches these principles to his disciples. Such a person is called an Acharya because he knows the principles of devotional service. He behaves in that way himself, and he teaches his disciples to follow in his footsteps. Thus, he is an Acharya or Jagat Guru. Even though a person is born in a Brahmanical family, and is very expert in performing sacrifices, he cannot be accepted as a guru if he is not a strict Vaishnava. A guru is a Brahmana by qualification, and he can turn others into a Brahmanas according to the Sastric principles and Brahmanical qualifications. Brahmanism is not a question of
Carry on reading.
this one
Hello.
finish. All these honors are offered to him because he strictly follows the Brahmanical principles and teaches these principles to his disciples. Such a person is called Acharya because he knows the principles of devotional service. He behaves in that way himself. He teaches his disciples to follow in his footsteps. Thus, he is an Acharya or Jagat Guru. Even though a person is born in Brahmanical family and is very expert in performing sacrifices, he cannot be accepted as a guru if he is not a strict Vaishnava. A guru is a Brahmana by qualification, and he can turn others into Brahmanas according to the Sastric principles and Brahmanical qualifications. Brahmanism is not a question of heredity. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.11.35, Sri Narada Muni tells Maharaja Yudhishthira what a Brahmana is. He states that if Brahmanical qualifications are observed in Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or even Shudras, one should accept them as Brahmanas. In this regard, Srila Sridhar Swami has commented, the most important criterion for deciding whether to deal with someone as a Brahmana or as a member of another Varna is the presence or absence of self-control and similar Brahmanical qualities. We should not judge primarily according to superficial characteristics like birth. This is stated in the verse beginning, Yasya Srimad Bhagavatam 7.11.35. If the qualities of one Varna are seen in someone born in another, he should be designated according to the Varna of his qualities, not that of his birth. There is a similar statement made by Nilakanta, a commentator on the Mahabharata. Although one may be born in a Sudra family, if he is endowed with the Brahmanical qualities, beginning with Sama, control of the mind, he is to be accepted as a Brahmana. Although one may be born in a Brahmana family, if he is endowed with the qualities beginning with the Kama, lust, he is to be considered as a Shudra. No one should present himself as a Brahmana simply on the basis of being born in a Brahmanical family. One must be qualified by the Brahmanical qualities mentioned in the Sastras, particularly the Bhagavad Gita 18.42. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Unless one is qualified with all these attributes, he cannot be accepted as a Brahmana. It is not a question of simply taking birth in Brahmana family. In this regard, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura remarks that Narottama Dasa Thakura and Shyamananda Goswami, although not born in Brahmana families, are accepted as a bona fide spiritual masters because they were Brahmanas by qualification. Personalities like Sri Ganga Narayana, Ramakrishna, and many others who were actually born in Brahmana families accepted Narottama Dasa Thakura and Shyamananda Goswami as their spiritual masters. The Mahabhagavata is one who decorates his body with tilaka and whose name indicates him to be a servant of Krishna by the word Dasa. He is also initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and is expert in worshipping the deity, chanting mantras correctly, performing sacrifices, offering prayers to the Lord, and performing Sankirtana. He knows how to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to respect a Vaishnava. When one has attained the topmost position of Mahabhagavata, he is to be accepted as a guru and worshipped exactly like Hari, the personality of Godhead. Only such a person is eligible like Hari, the personality of Godhead. Only sorry Only such a person is eligible to occupy the post of a guru. However, if one is highly qualified but is not a Vaishnava, he cannot be accepted as a guru. One cannot be a Brahmana unless one is a Vaishnava. If one is a Vaishnava, he is already a Brahmana. If a guru is completely qualified as a Vaishnava, he must be accepted as a Brahmana even if he is not born in a Brahmana family. The caste system method of distinguishing a Brahmana by birth is not acceptable when applied to a bona fide spiritual master. A spiritual master is a qualified Brahmana and Acharya. One who is not a qualified Brahmana and is not expert in studying the Vedic literatures cannot become a guru. Every Vaishnava is a spiritual master, and a spiritual master is automatically expert in Brahmanical behavior. He also understands the Vedic Shastras.
So you can see here the qualification of a guru, So he must have all the Brahmanical qualities. It's not, a guru is not, I would say, judged by the birth he has taken birth, but is the qualification of how he has developed all the good qualities. Firstly, he must have control his senses. He must be controller of his mind. And he has all the Brahmanical principles. Brahmanical qualification. There are 12 qualities of the Brahman. Yes, all of them. Here, Sama, Dama, Tapa, Sauchyam, Arjavam, Santirajam, Evacha, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma Karma, Swabhavajam, peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, religiousness. These are all the natural qualities by which the Brahmana works. And the spiritual master, guru, must have all these qualifications. So, furthermore, the Mahabhagavata is one who decorates his body with tilak and whose name indicates him to be a servant of Krishna by the word Das. So this is another important point. He is also initiated by his spiritual master. Hmm? So that means he must be coming down in authorized parampara. That's very important. The spiritual master, there are only 4 authorized sampradayas. The Brahma Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Lakshmi Sampradaya, and the Kumara Sampradaya. So unless he is initiated in this parampara, then he cannot be also a guru. That's not possible. Hmm? And not only that, after initiation, spiritual master, he must be expert in worshipping the deity, huh? Chanting mantras correctly, performing sacrifice, offering prayer to the Lord, and performing Sankirtan. So in fact, the spiritual master, when he worships the deity, means he accepts the personality of Godhead Krishna as the supreme authority, worshipable personality. Hmm. So it's not that he meditates on the impersonal Brahman or he meditates on the nothingness. No, no, no. All these things, a person who does that cannot be qualified to become a guru. So a guru means he must do these things. Ah. And he must also learn how to perform Sankirtan. Sankirtan means chanting Krishna's name or preaching Krishna's name. Hmm? Then yes, he is qualified. And he knows how to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that? In other words, a guru, a Vaishnava guru is a servant of God and he teaches others how to serve God. Hmm. Not only he respects God and worships the Lord, he also respects other Vaishnavas. Is that? So he does not think himself as a very great personality. He's always humble, thinking himself the most unqualified person. Hmm? That's why we learn Tanadapi Sunichena Taruapi Sayusuna Amanina Madanina Kirtaniya Sada Hari. So showing offering respect to others, not expecting anything in return. We chant in that mantra, no? So this is another prerequisite. Vaishnava, he respects Vaishnavas, he worships the Lord. Hmm? When one has thus attained the topmost position of Mahabhagavata, only then he can be accepted as a guru, worship exactly Hari, the Supreme Personality of God. Now it is not a cheapskate thing that anybody can jump into the bandwagon and take up this position indiscriminately. Eh? See, one must become the topmost devotee. Topmost devotee means he has no other purpose than only to serve with mind, body and words Krishna 24 hours a day. Yeah, that is Mahabhagavatam. Only such a person is eligible to take up the post, or eligible to occupy the post of Guru. However, if one is highly qualified but not a Vaishnava, he cannot be accepted as Guru. So, in other words, if he is not a devotee of a Krishna, Vaishnava, then he cannot be accepted as a Guru. In other words, this Guru position means one must be accepted, one must accept Krishna as all in all and be ready to serve the Lord in all circumstances. See? So one cannot become a Brahmana unless one is a Vaishnava. So a Vaishnava is above this Brahminical order. A Brahmana may not be Vaishnava, but a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, by the qualities. When one becomes servant of Krishna, he is automatically a Brahmana. If one is a Vaishnava, he's already a Brahman. See that? If a guru is completely qualified as Vaishnava, he must be accepted as a Brahmana, even if he is not born in a Brahmin family. So this is another qualification. Although he may not come from Brahminical family, but if he is Vaishnava, then he must be accepted already more than Brahmana. So the caste system method of distinguishing a Brahmana by birth is not acceptable and applied to a bona fide spiritual master. So a spiritual master is qualified Brahmana and Acharya. One who is not qualified Brahmana is not expert in studying the Shastras, Vedic Shastras, he cannot become a guru. So in other words, a devotee Vaishnava spiritual master is automatically expert in Brahminical behavior and also is expert in understanding the Vedic Shastras. Then yes, he is qualified. So in other words, he must know the science of Krishna, God, So that is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also says the same point. The qualification of the spiritual master. See, the self-realized soul, the spiritual master can impart knowledge onto you because he has seen the truth. So this is the qualification. What is the truth he has seen? This is the truth he has seen, Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again to such illusions. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mind. And this is what the self-realized has seen. The self-realized soul, he knows that all living beings are part and parcel of God, Krishna, or in other words, they are belonging to Krishna, or eternal servant of Krishna. So pure devotee, he knows this. He never misrepresent God in any way, like the Mayavadis do. They say, no, you and God are one. You also can become God. They don't teach all this kind of, what we say, unbiased. These all are biased. The unbiased, they're not part of the Vedic literature. They're not part of Shastra to say that the living entity and God are one. This is pure nonsense, because the living entity can at any point of time not become God. That's not possible, because the living entity is always a tiny answer, part of Krishna. So how can the tiny answer become God? That's not possible. So the part is always the part. So this mistake the pure devotee does not make, So that is his qualification. So he says here, even if you are situated in the boat, most sinful of all sinners, if you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, this is the knowledge the Guru can give. You'll be able to cross over the ocean of material miseries. So the Guru and knowledge are synonymous. And Guru is also servant of God. And he is coming down in an unbroken chain of spiritual master. That's the qualification of the Guru. If he does not come from an unbroken chain, then no, he cannot be qualified. Right? So another important thing as we have highlighted is that the Guru must be in possession of knowledge. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of all the scriptures. His conclusion of the Shastra by deliberation and is able to convince others of this conclusion. Not only he knows, he reads, but he is also able to convince. This one only a pure devotee can do that. Only a first class pure devotee, he can do that. Such great personalities have taken shelter of Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual master. And they don't have any material desires. They are not involved materially because they are so absorbed in the Lord, His name, form, pastime, activities. Then they have no more room for all this other kind of so-called material engagement. So this, in other words, these are pure devotees of the Lord. So this pure devotee's qualification. Not only that, he knows the Shastra thoroughly. He knows the scriptures in and out. So much so that he is able to even defeat anyone based on the Shastra. So he is topmost class devotee. There's the position of a pure devotee. He's not an ordinary person. So therefore, the qualification of Guru is not a cheap thing that anybody and everybody can just jump on the bandwagon and claim, to become a Guru. Right? So one should accept this kind of spiritual master. So this is how we should learn from him to serve the Lord without duplicity, in such faith and favorable way, the Supreme Lord being satisfied will offer himself to the faithful disciple. So that is the position of the spiritual master. Spiritual master is not such a cheap thing that everybody can just take up the position. Like nowadays, everybody thinks it's so cheap. But the main thing is that he should have knowledge and he should have connection with Krishna. As again, further qualification that is explained here. This is another qualification of a pure devotee. He observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So you see, this is another position of the pure devotee. He's actually, he sees God everywhere. Not only in the heart of everybody, he sees everywhere. It reminds him of the energy of God and God himself. Energy of God and God are non-different anyway. So the qualification of a pure devotee guru is very exalted. Not only that, you say here, Yo mam pasyati sarvatra sarvam cha mahi pasyati tasyaham na pranashyami na cha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Ah. So this is another position of a pure devotee, guru. Hmm. So in other words, if one sees God everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is ever lost to me. So how he can be attacked by Maya? Hmm? A pure devotee is not affected by Maya. That means he cannot fall down. Hmm? Here, the influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you see, the Maya cannot touch an enlightened soul. This is the qualification of this Guru. Hmm? He's not materially, a conditioned soul. He's beyond this material world. He's in the transcendental plane. That's why Maya cannot touch him, although he is engaged in material activities. Because he knows the truth of the Absolute, his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Maya cannot touch him. It is not that, you know, like some of the schools are teaching that no, devotee can fall down. No, a pure devotee cannot fall down. That's another qualification of a guru. A guru is not an ordinary person because he is associated with the Lord. Therefore, he is also on the transcendental plane. Maya cannot touch him at all. There's no way. This divinity of the personality of God is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by material qualities. So this is another qualification of the Guru. The Guru, because he is attached to the Lord, he cannot be influenced by Maya. Cannot. And if he is becoming influenced by Maya, then he is not Guru. He cannot become a pure devotee. That's not possible. So this is another qualification of a Guru. He is very well versed in knowledge through the study of the Shastras. He can defeat people in argument based on logic and Shastra. He is so powerful that Maya cannot touch him. Although he is working with Maya, cannot be influenced. Oh, these are all very strong quality. Hmm, right? You can see how powerful a pure devotee is. Hmm. And not only that, he can burn away uh, any amount of sinful activities because he is connected to Krishna. Therefore, he is so powerful that he can, remove so much of sins. That is one of his qualifications. Hmm? Not some kind of cheap personality. Hmm? So you see, I understand how powerful a position of Guru is. Hmm? So because he is giving this knowledge, hmm? See, he can burn away Because he's giving the knowledge, some knowledge, the mature fruit of Midyan, one who has become complete in the practice of devotional service, enjoy this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Oh, sorry, one verse before. Blazing fire turns fire to ashes, O Arjuna. So does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all the reaction to material activities. So see how powerful such personalities are. Definitely they are not ordinary personalities. Another important thing about them is that they are always carrying the Lord in the heart, you know. They are always having the Lord in the heart. That's why they never lost, you know. So try to understand the sublime position of these great personalities. They can immediately, you know, by their blessing, remove someone caught in the modes of control nature. Okay. These are the personalities because they have the Lord in the heart. These are the personalities who can save us. You see here. Because we are stuck in Maya, because the person who has been covered by ignorance in time immemorial is not capable of affecting his own realization. There must be some other personality who is in factual knowledge of the truth, absolutely, and can impart this knowledge to him. So this is the personality to take us out of this conditioned platform. We need a personality like this who has thorough knowledge. They can help us, you know, to take us out of this Maya. So try to understand this position. It's not some kind of ordinary position though. It's very, I would say, one of the topmost position. So his qualifications are very, I would say, sublime. So these are the position of a very advanced devotee, because they are always carrying the Lord in the heart. Saying it's, give me a minute, huh? Pure devotees are always having the Lord in the heart. So because they are carrying the Lord in the heart, you know, they never any point of time bewildered, you know. So Maya cannot touch them. Here. Sages free from false pride live on this earth by frequenting the sacred pilgrimage sites and those places where the Supreme Lord display his pastime. Because such devotees keep your lotus feet within their heart, the water that washes their feet destroy all sins. Anyone who even one turns his mind towards you, the ever blissful soul of all existence, no longer dedicate himself to serving family life at home, which simply robs a man of his good qualities. So you see, the position of such great personalities, this qualification, because they always keep the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. That's why we wash their feet, washing the feet, taking the water destroys all sins. Hmm. It's not ordinary thing. That's why even what's his name, Narada Muni, he became so purified by taking the remnants of food that were offered to them. He was serving them, and only once, with their permission, he had the remnants of the food of these great personalities. Immediately he became so purified. Yes. So it is not a ordinary thing to serve such great personality. That's why Parikshit Maharaj was saying when he saw Sukadev Goswami, says here, simply by our remembering you, our houses become instantly sanctified. What to speak about seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home? Such great personalities. So therefore, try to understand how powerful such great personalities are. That's why it says that we take shelter of such personalities, only then we also can become purified. You can see here, Narada Muni, he was engaged in serving such great personalities. He's telling his personal realization. Here you see, he's saying here, Uchista lepam unmodito dvijaha sakritsma bunjetad apasta kilbisahi evam pravartasya vishuddha setashas tad dharma evatmaruchi prajayate. Only once by their permission I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus being engaged, I became purified in heart. At that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. See? Can someone help read this purport to me?
Yes, Prabhu. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as infectious disease. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins. The personality of Godhead is the purest entity, and unless one is equally pure from the infection of material qualities, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Lord. The Bhakti Vedantas, as above mentioned, were pure devotees. And the boy became infected with their qualities of purity by their association and by eating once the remnants of the foodstuff taken by them. Such remnants may be taken even without permission of the pure devotees. There are sometimes pseudo devotees, and one should be very much cautious about them. There are many things which hinder one from entering devotional service, but by the association of pure devotees, all these obstacles are removed. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead's name, fame, quality, pastimes, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of the pure devotion always in the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. This transcendental taste at once makes all material things distasteful. Therefore, a pure devotee is not at all attracted by material activities. After the elimination of all sins or obstacles on the path of devotional service, one can become attracted. One can have steadiness, one can have perfect taste, one can have transcendental emotions, and at last one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. All these stages developed by the association of the pure devotees. And that is the purport of this stanza. O Vyasudeva,
Please read on.
O Vyasudeva,
Yeah.
in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of the Lord Krishna. And thus, as I listened attentively, my taste for hearing of personality of Godhead increased at every step. Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal features but also in his transcendental activities. It is so because the absolute is absolute by his name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, etc. The Lord descends to this material world out of his causeless mercy and displays his various transcendental pastimes as a human being, so that human beings attracted towards him become able to go back to Godhead. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narrations of various personalities performing mundane activities without knowing that by such association one simply wastes valuable time and also becomes addicted to the three qualities of mundane nature. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead. And as explained before, when one hears about the personality of Godhead, all accumulated sins of the mundane creature are cleared from within. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association and becomes attracted to the features of the Lord. Narada Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narada Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge, and unfathomed bliss. And he can travel all over the material and spiritual worlds without restriction. One can attain the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources, as Sri Narada heard from the pure devotees, Bhakti Vedantas, in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in this age of Kali, in this age of quarrel, Kali. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste of personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that It was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental.
So you can see how here Narada Muni is giving his realization how by associating with this bona fide spiritual masters or Vedantis. So their qualification is so powerful that by eating their remnants of food, he became so pure that his heart became just like them. And the very attraction of the Lord's activity became so pleasing to him. And not only that, he could then realize that he and the Lord are one in quality. So this all came about by the association of such great personalities. The Guru's qualification is like that they're like touchstone. Anything that touch them can turn into gold. So they are not some cheap personalities, So try to understand their position. Again, it is explained here also the same point. Can you read?
O
Someone
King,
want to help to read, huh? Or you read, yeah?
I'll continue, Prabhu. Yeah. O King, a saintly person is just like water because he is free from all contamination, gentle by nature, and by speaking creates a beautiful vibration like that of a flowing water. Just by seeing, touching, or hearing such a saintly person, the living entity is purified, just as one is cleansed by contact with pure water. Thus, a saintly person, just like a holy place, purifies all those who contact him because he always chants the glories of the Lord.
So here the qualification, again by seeing, touching or hearing such great personalities, the living entity is purified. Just as one is cleansed by contact with pure water. So it's not some cheap qualification, this saintly personality's character. Read on.
Saintly persons become powerful by execution of austerities. Their consciousness is unshakable because they do not try to enjoy anything within the material world. Such naturally liberated sages accept foodstuffs that are offered to them by destiny. And if by chance they happen to eat contaminated food, they are not affected, just like fire, which burns up contaminated substance that are offered to it.
See how powerful they are. That doesn't mean that they should go and eat anywhere and everywhere. They won't do that. By chance, it says here. By chance, if something happens, they are not affected. How powerful they are. Read on.
A saintly person, just like fire, sometimes appears in a concealed form and at other times reveals himself for the welfare of the conditioned souls who desire real happiness. A saintly person may accept the worshipable position of spiritual master, and thus, like fire, he burns to ashes all the past and future sinful reactions of his worshippers by mercifully accepting their offerings.
See that if he becomes a guru, he has the power to burn to ashes all the past and future sinful reaction of his worshippers by mercifully accepting the offerings. So, see another qualification of this guru. Right? That's why, in order to make spiritual advancement, we must have a guru. Without the help of a guru, we cannot make progress. So try to understand the powerful position of a spiritual master. He must be learned, he must be very austere, he must control the senses, merciful, and he must be so powerful that Maya cannot touch him. He is so powerful because he's carrying the Lord within the heart. And not only that, he can also burn the sinful activities of the disciples, and also elevate them by giving knowledge, like in this example of Narada Muni. Oh, so it's a very, very powerful position, the position of spiritual master. It's not like something you accept and tomorrow you fall down. No, 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 no. Spiritual master on this category cannot fall down. If he fall down, then he cannot be guru. That's not possible. At this guru position, if he is falling down, then he's a cheater. Prabhupada said, then he's not a guru. It's a very transcendental position, right? So you are saying the next question, how you can, what is that? Can you go to God without such a personality's help? That's the next question, is it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can we approach God without the help of Guru? So how to go to God without Guru? That's not possible, you know. As Krishna himself said, in order to go, because we have been in Maya for a long time, we need somebody else to help us untie our. Yeah, it says here. You want to read?
Yeah, Prabhu. Because a person who has been covered by ignorance since time immemorial is not capable of affecting his own self-realization, there must be some other personality who is in factual knowledge of the absolute truth and can impart this knowledge to him.
Because we have been in Maya for so long. And without the help of a guru, it's not possible to go. Right? Because our hands have been tied, no? One whose hands are tied, how he can go? Can he go? Therefore, it says that every Shastra says anyone else want to read?
Yeah,
Give
Vimal
them
Vishnu,
others
thank you.
chance.
Yes, Vimal Vishnu, thank you so much. Sonu Prabhuji, please come forward and carry on.
Accepting the bona fide spiritual master has one's life and soul and worshipable deity. The discipline should learn from him the process of pure devotional service, supreme personality of Godhead, Hari, the soul of all souls. He is inclined to give himself to his pure devotees. Therefore, the disciple should learn from the spiritual master to serve the Lord without his duplicity, and in such a faithful and favorable way that the Supreme Lord, beginning satisfied, uh, will offer himself to the faithful disciple.
So you see here, it's very important that one understand that spiritual life means that one must accept spiritual master. See that here? Srila Rupa Goswami has delineated 4 preliminary prerequisites for advancement for sincere disciples. See that? There are 4 prerequisites. Guru Padashraya Tasmad, Krishna Diksha Adi Shikshanam, Vishrambena Guru Seva, Sadhu Vatmana Anuvartanam. These are the 4 things that one must do. Accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Obeying the order of the spiritual master with faith and devotion, following in the footsteps of great Acharya teacher under the direction of the spiritual master. So these are orders that we have to do. So we cannot try to say that I will try to go to Krishna directly. That is not possible. You cannot go to God directly. You must go to Him through a bona fide spiritual master or Krishna's representative. You think that you can go to Krishna directly, then that is a pretty big mistake, no? It's not possible to go to God directly. Now, Krishna says in the Adi Puranam that anyone thinks that he is my disciple, actually is not my disciple. Unless one is a disciple of my disciple, then yes, he is my disciple, you know. So it says in the Adi Puranam, this is thing is stressed, no? As you can see here, ये में भक्त जना पार्ता नामे भक्त चाते जना मद भक्तानां च ये भक्तस ते में भक्त तमो मतः. This is quoted in the Adi Puranam by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees. But those who are devotees of my servant are actually my devotees. See this? Huh? So it's very important to understand this point that you cannot go to God directly. In fact, it is says here that those people who don't accept the spiritual master, so they will encounter so many problems in their spiritual life. Okay? The mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who have regulated their senses and breath cannot control. Those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind but who abandon the feet of the spiritual master encounter hundreds of obstacles in their cultivation of various distressful practices. O unborn Lord, they are like merchants on a boat in an ocean who have failed to employ a helmsman. So try to understand. So without Guru, there's no possibility of making any headway. In fact, not only you cannot make it, you're going to get a lot of problems on the contrary. I don't think that this is some somewhat simple thing. If you don't have Guru, then you cannot understand the spiritual science. If you don't have Guru, then there's a good chance that you can be, you will mistake. This is what will happen when you don't have a Guru. Man in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man. and they will take a common man as a great soul. Like nowadays, you can see so many guys, they are completely confused. Yeah. They take anybody and everybody as God. And the real person, they neglect. They don't know. This is the problem because they don't have any guru. So one who don't have a guru, then he get mistaken. Hmm? The puzzle people who visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually seeing Lord Krishna, but they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Krishna had come to Kalia Lake. They all said that they had seen Krishna directly performing his pastime on the hoods of the serpent Kalia, and the jewels on Kalia hoods were blazing brightly. Because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary human being. See? Ah. And a boatman lied in the lake as Krishna. One must see, this is a very important point. One must see things as they are through the mercy of the spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna and or Krishna for an ordinary man. He may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the Vedic scriptures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the Vedic literature presented by the self-realized spiritual master. You cannot just go read by the Vedas and read yourself and become a self-realized soul. It's not possible. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transmarium via medium of Sri Gurudev. You see that? The spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kaliya Daha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. So you see how important the spiritual master is. In fact, if one is not initiated through the help of a spiritual master, then all his spiritual things are useless, it is said. Diksha is the process by which one can awaken his transcendental knowledge and vanquish all reaction caused by sinful activity. A person expert in the study of the revealed scriptures knows this process as Diksha. The regulative principles of Diksha are explained in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. It says here, even though born in a Brahmana family, one cannot engage in Vedic rituals without being initiated and having a sacred thread. Although born in a Brahmana family, one becomes Brahmana only after initiation and the sacred thread ceremony. Unless one is initiated as a Brahmana, he cannot worship the holy name properly. See that? According to the Vaishnava regulative principle, one must be initiated as a Brahmana. The Hari Bhakti Vilas quotes the following injunction in the Vishnu Yamala: Adiksha dakshatasya vamuro kritam sarvam nirartakam pasuyonim avapnoti diksha virahito janaha. Unless one is initiated, you see that unless one is initiated by bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional service activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into animal species. So how important it is to have Guru. Only by the mercy of Guru who can lead you to God, Krishna. Otherwise, it's not possible. And if it's not initiated, he simply do his devotional service, it all amounts to nothing because you're not connected. So it's the duty of every living, every human being to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master, giving him everything, body, mind, and intelligence. One must take Vaishnava initiation from him. The word here is must. It is not subjective. It's must. You have to do. Right? By chemical manipulation, bell metal is turned into gold when touched by mercury. Similarly, when a person is properly initiated, he acquires all the qualities of a Brahmana. So you see how important it is to have a guru. Without guru, there's no spiritual life. Right? So therefore, one have to understand. That's why in our system, Prabhupada is saying, due to the word pura means before and charya means activity. Due to the necessities of these activities, we do not immediately initiate disciples in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. For 6 months, the candidate for initiation must first attend arati and classes in the Shastra, practice the regulative principle, and associate with other devotees. When one is actually advanced in Purashcharya Vidya, is recommended by the local temple president for initiation. It is not that anyone can be suddenly initiated without meeting the requirement. When one is further advanced by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds daily, following the regulated principle and attending classes, he receives the sacred thread Brahminical recognition after the second 6 months. So you see, the initiation program is highly stressed, and initiation means that one must have a guru. So try to understand how important it is to have a guru. If one does not have a guru, or even if he disobeys his guru, spiritually he become, having obtained the mercy of his spiritual master who revealed to the disciple the injunctions of Vedic scriptures, devotees should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the particular form of the Lord the devotee finds most attractive. So here it is says, having obtained the mercy of his spiritual master, who revealed to the disciple the injunctions of the Vedic scripture, the devotee should then worship the personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality in particular form of the Lord the devotee find most attractive. Only after the mercy of the spiritual master, having obtained the mercy of the spiritual master, who will reveal to the disciple the injunctions of Vedic Shastras. So you cannot go jump over and then go. That's not possible. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the word labdva anugraha indicates formal initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. It is stated in the Padma Puranam, Sat Karmo Nipuno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharadaha. Avaishnava Guru Nasyat Vaishnava Swapako Guruhu. A bona fide spiritual master be a soul surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. This is the qualification of the Guru. He is a soul surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. In the Brahma Vaivarta Puranam it is stated, Bodhaha Kalusistastena Dauratnyam Prakati Kritam Guruhu Yena Paritya Tyaktas Tena Tyaktaha Puraha Harihi. One pollutes his intelligence and exhibits severe weakness of character when he rejects his own spiritual master. Indeed, such a person has already rejected the Supreme Lord Hari. So you see, if what to speak, if you reject your Guru, not to speak of not having Guru, if you reject also, then you are rejected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Indeed, such a person has already rejected the Supreme Lord Hari. The bona fide disciple should always remember that his entire understanding of Vedic knowledge is coming through the mercy of his bona fide spiritual master. See, this is another important point. See, the bona fide disciple should always remember that his entire understanding of Vedic knowledge is coming through the mercy of his bona fide spiritual master. If one superficially or whimsically accepts and rejects the bona fide spiritual master, sometimes becoming attracted to another spiritual master, one commits Vaishnava aparat, a great offense against the devotee of the Lord. Sometimes a foolish neophyte mistakenly thinks that this relationship with the spiritual master is meant for sense gratification of the disciple, and therefore in the name of spiritual aspiration, such a fool gives up a bona fide Vaishnava Guru. One should understand oneself to be the eternal servant of the Guru. Srila Jiva Goswami, however, has quoted this verse from the Narada Pancharatra. Avaishnavo upadistena mantrena nirayam vrajat punascha vidina samyak grahayet vaishnavat guruhu. One who is not initiated into a mantra by a non-Vaishnava must go to hell. See how serious it is. You cannot just take initiation by anybody and everybody. Sometimes they come to us and say, I had a Kula Guru, I got initiated here, there, I think he's my Guru. No. One who is not initiated into mantra by non-Vaishnava must go to hell, it says here. Therefore, he should again be initiated properly according to the prescribed method by a Vaishnava Guru. That means the Guru you get to bring you to God, it must be a Vaishnava Guru. It's not any kind of Guru. That is not accepted. Any kind of Guru cannot save you. Follow this point. So I just now we read the verse in. It's right here. A bona fide spiritual master must be a soul surrendered at the lotus feet of Krishna. This here. Somebody can be very Vishrada, I mean expert in Satkarma, Nipino, Vipro, Mantra, Tantra, Visharada. They're very expert in Mantra, Tantra, all this Brahmin, Karma, Nipuno, all these things is Vipro, Shastra. But if it's Vaishnava, he is Guru Nasa, he cannot be Guru. A Vaishnava means not a devotee. He cannot be Guru. But if another person, on the other hand, if he is coming from a dog-eating family, if he is Vaishnava, he is accepted as Guru. Huh? You see, this is to be understood. Hmm. So therefore, a person who is reading here, therefore he should be initiated by a Vaishnava Guru. Hmm. Therefore, it's the duty of the bona fide spiritual master to examine carefully the qualification of the disciple, and the disciple should similarly approach a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, the foolish disciple and the indiscriminate guru may both be punished by the laws of nature. One should not artificially try to assimilate all of the apparent conflicting branches of Vedic knowledge, Vedescha Sarve Aham Eva Vidya. Conditioned souls have various conflicting natures which are engaged by apparently conflicting Vedic injunctions called pravritti and nivritti marks. But the easiest path is simply to learn the process of regularly worshipping Atvaya Jnanam, Lord Vishnu. All the demigods mentioned in the Vedas are paraphernalia for the service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Whatever exists in the visible material world is also meant to be engaged in the Lord's service. Otherwise, it has no value. If one
So,
artificially
Vikram,
renounces material things useful in the service of Supreme Lord, he loses his spiritual qualification of seeing everything as meant for Krishna's pleasure and will be forced to think of material objects as meant for his own sense pleasure. In other words, material things should be accepted or rejected according to the pleasure of Supreme Lord. Otherwise, one will fall down from the standard of pure devotion service, as stated in this verse. Labdva anugraha achriyad. Such discrimination can be learned when one receives the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master who reveals to the sincere disciple the practical application of Vedic knowledge. So try to understand how important it is to have a spiritual master. If one thinks that I can just stay at home and chant Hare Krishna and read Prabhupada books and that's enough, then I think he's making a big mistake. Because reading Prabhupada books means to accept a bona fide spiritual master like Prabhupada. That means official connection also has to be made. It is also again stressed, here. Same thing is also stressed here. So on the path of regulated devotional service, one must observe the following items. Again here, number one must accept a bona fide spiritual master. Again here, one must accept initiation from him. Again here, one must serve him. Again here, one must receive instruction from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn our devotional service. Again, one must follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas and follow the direction given by the spiritual master. So it doesn't say here it is optional. You can or you cannot. No. Here there is no what we say any other what we say room for opinion that you can, you cannot do, you like to do. No, it says you must, and you must, and you must, and you must. That means without spiritual master, you can forget about spiritual life. It will not take place. It cannot take place. Because without help of the Guru, even Krishna will not, accept the person. In fact, if someone is sincere, what Krishna does is Krishna actually brings him to a spiritual master. If he is a bona fide person, yes, if he is bona fide, then Krishna brings him to a spiritual master. Oh my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their in-depthness to you, even if they were endowed with prolonged knowledge, prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. So two ways he acts. If you go to Krishna, if you're a very bona fide disciple or sincere soul, then Krishna, he brings you to a bona fide spiritual master, externally as an Acharya and internally as the Super Soul. So how can one say that he doesn't require Guru? Huh? If he thinks he don't want a Guru, that means he's going to take his mind as his Guru. And the mind, if it's not controlled, is the worst enemy. Without the help of a Guru, you cannot overcome. Krishna's modes of material nature also is not possible. Hmm? You cannot cross the modes of material nature without the help of a Guru. Can anyone else help reach?
One
Hare
must
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
One must
Yes,
conquer the
Mataji.
modes.
Please go ahead.
One must conquer the modes of passion and ignorance by developing the mode of goodness, and then one must become detached from the mode of goodness by promoting oneself to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. All this can be automatically done if one engages in the service of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. In this way, one can conquer the influence of the modes of nature.
See that? So if you don't have the Guru, how you can overcome the three modes of material nature? Huh? How? It's not possible. Also, without the help of the Guru, it's very difficult to. It's very difficult. To make any, because you have to consider the spiritual master not an ordinary person, but a representative of the Lord. But anyone who thinks that the spiritual master is an ordinary person, he'll become everything is frustrated. His enlightenment, his Vedic studies and knowledge are all like bathing of an elephant. An elephant take good bath, because he's got a special force. But after he comes to the shore, he takes some dust and put all over his body again. So what's the use? So therefore, it's explained. The spiritual master should be considered to be directly the Supreme Lord because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Consequently, for one who maintains the material conception that the spiritual master is an ordinary human being, everything is frustrated. His enlightenment, his Vedic study and knowledge are all like bathing on an elephant. The spiritual master is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, one who is very serious about spiritual advancement must regard the spiritual master in this way. Even a slight deviation from this understanding can create disaster in the disciples' Vedic studies and austerity. See that here? If you disregard him, then finish, right? Even without the help of the spiritual master, he says here also. See here, to control the mind. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. So without spiritual master, how you can control even your mind? You can't control the mind. You cannot go overcome the modes of material nature. You cannot become free. You don't get knowledge. You cannot become free from all your past sinful activities. You will always live in doubt. You cannot overcome your false ego, which is the breeding ground of all doubts. See, you should consider how by the influence of my illusory energy, these three states of mind caused by the modes of material nature have been artificially imagined to exist in me. Having definitely ascertained the truth of the soul, you should utilize the sharpened sword. Utilize the sharpened sword acquired by logical reflection from the instruction of the sages, the Guru, and the Shastra, Vedic literature, to completely cut off false ego, which is the breeding ground of all doubts. All of you should then worship me who am situated within the heart. You cannot overcome all this false ego without the help of Guru. That's not possible. Which is the breeding ground of all doubts. So you see how important Guru is. Have to control the mind. It gives you the intelligence, knowledge, burns away all your sinful activities. Correct? Helps you overcome the three modes of material nature. Gives you enlightenment. Without him, you encounter so many problems. And you're completely lost. It's not possible. See how powerful the Guru is. Says here also, you cannot cross Krishna's Maya without the help of Guru. As we read this now. Again here we're reading. Here also it says, my dear Uddhava, I am personally the ultimate shelter and way of life for sanely liberated person. And thus, if one does not engage in my loving devotional service, which is made possible by associating with my devotees, then for all practical purpose, one possesses no effective means for escaping from material existence. It is not possible to escape Krishna's Maya without associating with my devotees. This is pure devotee, Krishna, devotees, pure spiritual master. Huh? You cannot go out. No possible. Even if you want to go to the spiritual world, you have to take shelter of spiritual master. Otherwise, not possible. One who has obtained pure devotional service by association with my devotees, always engage in worshipping me. Thus, it very easily goes to my abode, which is revealed by my pure devotees, spiritual master. Ah. So you see, in every way, the spiritual master is so important. You cannot get out of sinful life, even sinful life, as I already said, If you want to get out of sinful life, you need help of spiritual master. My dear king, you a sinful person engaged in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna. He can become completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and other methods of atonement I have previously described. So you see, if one engage in the service of the spiritual master, he can become completely purified. Not possible by any other method. The path followed by my pure devotees who are well behaved and fully endowed with best qualifications, certainly most auspicious path in the material world. It is free from fear and it is authorized by the Shastras. You see? So if you follow the path given by the spiritual master, you get also all good qualification. You become free from fear. So you see how important it is to serve the Vaishnava pure devotee. The path followed by my pure devotees were well behaved and fully endeavored. So this is very important point. So you see how important the spiritual master is. Spiritual master is so important that without spiritual master, one's spiritual life is, forget it, it doesn't work. So if a person you don't have a guru, then there is no deliverance. How? How to go out? It's not possible. So therefore, anyone who is serious about spiritual life, he must take shelter of a pure devotee. Otherwise, that's why it says that one must give everything to the spiritual master. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. And in the association of saintly person and devotees, one should worship the Lord. Hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord. Always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. See? Can anyone read this?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for reading so far. Jagan Prabhu, if you
Hare
want to take
Krishna
over.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. In the previous verse, it has been said that the process which immediately increases one's love and affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best of the many thousands of ways to become free from the entanglement of material existence. It is also said, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. Actually, the truth of religious principles is extremely confidential. Nonetheless, it can be understood very easily if one actually adopts the principles of religion. As it is said, Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat pranitam. The process of religion is enunciated by the Supreme Lord, because He is the supreme authority. This is also indicated in the This is also indicated in the previous verse by the Lord, by the word ba, Bhagavatoditaha. The injunctions or directions of the Lord are infallible, and their benefits are fully assured. According to his directions, which are explained in this verse, the perfect form of religion is Bhakti Yoga. To practice Bhakti Yoga, one must first accept a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, advises one's first duty is to accept a bona fide spiritual master. The student or disciple should be very inquisitive. He should be eager to know the complete truth about eternal religion, Sanatana Dharma. The words Guru Shushrusaya mean that one should personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts, helping him in bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Guru Shushru Sanam. A disciple should serve the spiritual master as a menial servant, and whatever he has in his possession should be dedicated to the spiritual master. Pranair Arthair Diya Vacha. Everyone has his life, his wealth, his intelligence, and his words, and all of them should be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the via medium of the spiritual master. Everything should be offered to the spiritual master as a matter of duty, but the offering should be made to the spiritual master with the heart and soul, not artificially to gain material prestige. This offering is called arpana. Moreover, one should live among devotees, saintly persons, to learn the etiquette and proper behavior of the devotional service. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura remarks in this connection that whatever is offered to the spiritual master should be offered with love and affection, not for material adoration. Similarly, it is recommended that one associate with the devotees, but there must be some discrimination. Actually, a sadhu, a saintly person, must be saintly in his behavior. Sadhavaha sadachara. Unless one adheres to the standard behavior, one's position as a sadhu, a saintly person, is not complete. Therefore, a Vaishnava, a sadhu, must completely adhere to the standard of behavior. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura says that a Vaishnava, a person initiated into the Vaishnava cult, should be offered the respect befitting a Vaishnava, which means that he should be offered service and prayers. However, one should not associate with him if he is not a fit person with whom to associate.
So you see here, the definition is very clearly explained here. That how one must accept a bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Sometimes a person thinks that, his father is more important. His father has given him, all facilities. No? Narada Muni had asked how one should ignorantly defy one's own father. The Haryasvars understood the meaning of this question. One must accept the original instruction of the Shastra according to Vedic civilization. One is offered a sacred thread as a sign of second birth. One takes his second birth by dint of having received instruction in the Shastra from a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, Shastra, scripture, is the real father. All the Shastras instruct that one should end his material way of life. If one does not know the purpose of the father's order, the Shastra, he is ignorant. The words of a material father who endeavors to engage his son in material activities are not the real instruction of the father. So try to understand. The spiritual master means he must give you instruction about spiritual matter, how to go back to Krishna. That's why Bali Maharaj, he rejected his guru because the guru was telling not to give, not to go to Krishna. He came in the form of Vamanadev, and Bali Maharaj was Sukracharya, his guru said, no, don't go. You see how such a guru is rejected. So someone who does not know the science of how to bring anyone to Krishna, then he should be rejected. So a real guru means someone who can take you to Krishna. That is the meaning of guru. And you cannot go to Krishna without the help of a guru. That also is not possible. So I think I've made my point. Of course, there are many more other instructions in the Bhagavatam. I don't think we can cover everything today. So nonetheless, if anybody have any questions up to now?